Hello, everyone. How are you? Welcome to Black Entrepreneurs Institute Live. I am Dr. Nick, and I am here along with Angela Hooper Minifield. How are you doing?
I am excellent. Let's just say tonight is BEI Live, the lady founders version.
That's right. The ladies are here. But on behalf of our other co-founders, Cedric LaFleur and Damian Johnson, we want to welcome everybody to tuning in and say thank you for tuning in. But tonight is all about the ladies.
Well, not quite, because
That's true. That's true.
we're bringing on an amazing young man, and Nicole will get to that a little later. But Nicole, I know you were we were talking a little earlier about last week's show, and I can just say I have been so impressed with some of the guests that we have been able to bring to this platform. You know, one of the common themes that I think truly resonates with me, and we may even see this again tonight with Micheal, is that these entrepreneurs saw that they wanted to put their way of doing things or their brand or their touch on something that may have been already successful for others. And they didn't let it keep them from moving forward. And, you know, sometimes I know when we're working with potential entrepreneurs and others in our boot camp, we hear people being concerned about, well, yeah, this is what I want to do, but other people are already doing it. And what we're seeing is these entrepreneurs are saying, yeah, other people are doing it, but they're not doing it the way I'm doing it. And so they're making things happen. And Tori from last week was just another example with the woman empowerment angle and how she wanted clothing to really complement where she was in her walk and her journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, even with the people that we have bringing in, the constant theme that I am seeing is that, you know, it's more about just being an entrepreneur. It's about the message that is being brought. It's a constant theme we hear from other our guests is that I'm just not selling a product, but I'm selling a message. I'm selling empowerment. I'm selling self-love. I'm selling. So it's more than just a product or service. It goes beyond that. And I love that each and every one has had that trend as well. It's just been an amazing journey just to have these guests and to learn so much from them. So we're really excited to hear about another great, amazing entrepreneur tonight. It's the fourth Tuesday, and as other 4 Tuesdays, we have been bringing you amazing young, as we call teenpreneurs or youthpreneurs, to the show to share their story, to share their journey. We've had Temple Lester with her STEM Girl Swag product. We had Lexi P with her Curlinista that's now being sold in Sally's around the world. And tonight, we won't disappoint you again. We have Micheal Platt, who is changing the world one dessert at a time. Now, this is amazing. I don't know about you, Angela, but you know, some things that I like to do when I'm just getting into like Netflix or streaming is watching children competition and cooking shows. They they are so exciting. They're passionate. And I'm like, when I was their age, I wasn't this intense about cooking.
Girl, I wasn't that intense about much of anything.
Absolutely. So there are so many shows now that are streaming with cooking shows, kids baking championship. Rachel Ray has a cooking for kids cook off. There's a Master Chef Junior. There's so many competition shows for kids. And it's so empowering to see these young people have a passion, go after their passion, and make things happen in doing what they want to do. And tonight is no different. We have a 15-year-old entrepreneur who has the passion of the baking as pastry chef Duff Goodman, but the heart of service and empowerment of a Martin Luther King. So let me just bring on our guest tonight. We have tonight Micheal Platt. Micheal, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am wonderful.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Micheal.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So let me tell the audience a little bit about you, Micheal. Michael's for-profit business is Michael's Desserts, which is a social enterprise where he bakes and uses a one-for-one business model. He also has a nonprofit called Plate, Plate, which stands for Power, Love, Learning, and Access for Everyone. And this is where he packs snacks for kids whose families face food insecurity and seeks to educate and empower families. And he's also working on a budget conscious cookbook. So not only is he baking, he's empowering, he's helping, and now he's working on a cookbook. He speaks, he's an advocate, and he fundraised for food insecurity and just a overall motivational speaker. So again, another phenomenal young person that we welcome to the BEI. So again, welcome. So Micheal, tell just the audience about your journey and how you got started as an entrepreneur.
Yes, so I started baking when I was around 9 years old. Well, I guess I've always been in the kitchen like my whole life. I've always known how to cook something, always, whether it was like eggs in the microwave. I've always known how to cook something. A lot of people in my family, they're like good cooks. My mom was a home economics teacher. And so I've always like known how to cook, known and been in the kitchen. But the first real like memory of me actually baking something was when I was around 9 years old. And I remember like baking a cake with my grandmother. It was like it was an almond joy cake, but it wasn't really like almond. It wasn't that. It sounded really fancy, but it wasn't. We found like almond joy flavored ice, and then we got in, like the back of her pantry or something. We asked it with like a butter knife. It was like a box cake mix, and it was just like a really cool like thing to do. And then I made it for like a family dinner, so that was cool. And then I started my business when I was 11 years old because I knew that I liked baking, and after like since then I kind of started kind of getting more into it and actually baking more instead of just cooking, but like actually baking more and more. And then I started my business, Micheal Desserts, and yeah.
Okay, Micheal. So I must ask this question because so many people, again, and they're adults, right? And they say, "Oh, I really like doing this," but they never transition from "I like doing this and I do this well" to a business. So, can you take us to maybe even what was one of those first discussions with your parents, like when you said, "I think I want a business," and I'm 11.
Yes. So I guess like just the type of person that I am, I don't really like I'll have an idea and then I'll ponder on it for like months before I actually talk about it at all. Like I'll think of something like wow, like before I go to sleep, and then I'll just continue to think about it for like a really long time before anyone even knows what I'm thinking about. So I think I already had like a game plan by the time I told my parents that I actually wanted to start a business. Like I knew it was gonna be called. I had a logo and everything, and like I was
Where
just
did
really,
the
really
logo come
scared.
from? I'm sorry, but where did the
It's
logo come
impressive,
from?
right?
Um, so my mom, she used to do like she was a teacher, or not a teacher. She was like a parent engagement person at my old middle school. And she did like flyers and stuff. So she had this app called Canva, and I basically used that and made a logo on it. And then
Wow. That is that. I mean,
Amazing.
it's. I'm saying wow because here I am, Micheal. I'm just gonna be really transparent with you. And every time I want something, I'm like, who can do this for me? And you're like, oh, my mom had an app called Canva, so I just made me a logo.
yeah,
And you were 11.
yeah,
I love it. He said he started out with a plan. Just started out with an idea and had a plan at 11. So he knew what he wanted to do even before going to his mom. I love that.
I do too. So let me ask you this. So we know it's Michael's dessert.
yeah.
So first off, tell us, what are you most known for? Like, what is the dessert? If I don't try any other dessert at Michael's dessert, what is the dessert I should try?
So the dessert I think is like the most popular, especially just because of where I am. I'm in Maryland,
Okay.
so a lot of people. Let me just start off with this. My most popular dessert is sweet potato pie cupcake. So
Ooh.
it's a spiced cupcake with I'm like sweet potato pie filling in the actual batter, and
Mm.
then after that's done, I'll pour it out like pour out the center and put sweet potato pie filling through it. Then I make like a spice icing and like I'll do like a donut, so it basically has a hole in the middle, and then I'll put more sweet potato pie filling through that, and then I'll toast some marshmallows and put those on top of the whole thing, and that is very, very, very popular. But it's also a freedom fighter cupcake. So basically, every month I choose to highlight a freedom fighter that inspired me to do what I'm doing. So that specific cupcake is Martin Luther King, and it's again my most popular cupcake, and it's also the one that I sell the most. So the actual month that I do the Freedom Fighter cupcake for it are January and February. January for Martin Luther King's birthday, and February for Black History Month. And then I also sell it in November for like Thanksgiving time, because that's something that I eat for Thanksgiving would be like a sweet potato pie.
All right. Well,
Wow.
our viewers, look, Micheal. I'm going to be so out of order. I need to put your website on the screen right now because this is October.
Yes.
And this is the last week of October, which means November is right around the corner.
That's right.
So we know people are going to want to have some of these cupcakes. So we gotta let them know how to get it. So here we go, guys. michealsdesserts.com. That is awesome. And I don't eat a lot of desserts. I'll just be transparent with you. I was like that kid who didn't like cake or dessert. And then once I got almost in my 30s, my grandmother was like, "Oh, you'll like my sweet potato pie." And I was like, "Yeah, whatever, grandma." Like everybody's been saying this to me. And I had her sweet potato pie, and I've been eating sweet potato pie since. So I'm telling you right now, Micheal, I am ordering. Because that you just described like what heaven is in a dessert to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. I love it. Just even just your passion as a young person, being 11 and having the knowledge and the determination to and the passion to go after things you like to do. So when you think about entrepreneurs, we always tell the people in our boot camp that entrepreneurs are problem solvers, right? They're looking to solve a problem in this world. So when you thought about your business, you're good at cooking, you love to cook. What are some of the problems that you thought that you wanted to change in the world?
Yes, so I very, very, very much just wanted to solve hunger. That's like my goal right now, is to solve hunger. So when I like probably the Christmas before I started my business, my parents got me a pair of Tom shoes for Christmas, and basically it's one for one. So every shoe that someone buys, they would give one to someone in need. So I did that with my business. Every dessert that someone buys, I gave one to someone in need, and I did that for probably like a couple months, and then I knew like. So I started thinking again, and I was like, well, my goal is to solve hunger. That's not really what I'm doing, giving away cupcakes. So I still do give away cupcakes, but that's more to like make people's day better. But the way that I actually go to solve hunger is I will donate to No Kid Hungry. I do bake sales. I speak. I do a bunch of different things in the hunger aspect, but I still give away cupcakes just to make someone's day a little bit better.
Oh, I love that. That is so
Wow.
sweet. A business with a purpose. And, one of the things that oftentimes when we're working with entrepreneurs and we're talking to them about, what makes you laugh, what makes you
Yes.
cry, what makes you sing. And so you've hit that, right? That was that pain point that while you're making desserts and selling those, there's this other issue that's looming,
Yes.
and that's that of hunger. So I must ask, as a young person, now you're 14. So what year are you in school? Are you a freshman?
I'm in 10th grade.
10th grade. Oh, sophomore. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So I remember what it was like in school. It's been a long time, but I remember vaguely. And I just wonder, how have you managed to balance? And I'm sure you have chores and responsibilities at home,
Yes.
being an entrepreneur and also being a student and friend and all these other things. How do you balance all that?
So yes, definitely have like I'm homeschooled and all of my friends are in public school.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like really hard to like I want to hang out with them, but also think about business, but also have school to do, and we don't go to the same school, so I don't see them that often anyways. So that was really just tough to like get through. But I'd say one of the biggest things that allowed me to do my business and also do school is probably being homeschooled, just because I can kind of move around my schedule a bit more than if I was in school. Say I wanted to like had something to do in the morning, then I could push my school schedule later in the day, or have something to do in the evening. I could do school earlier. I could stop and then do it later again. So I guess just being homeschooled and having more time. But I guess just having, like, a lot of my friends, they know what I do. They know that I have a business and they like to help out. So I guess just getting your friends involved in what you're doing also is something that would help you. Yeah.
That's
I,
sweet.
I love that. Making a team effort. They said teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Yes.
I love it. So, in entrepreneurship, there are times where we may experience some type of negative feedback or negative review points from other
Yes.
people. So, have you have had that happen to you, and how did you manage something like that as a young person?
So most of the people who like talk to me are positive. They know what I'm doing. They support me. So that's really cool. I have had people that it's mostly about like my business model, which is one for one. They'll say that it's not sustainable, or that I can't do it, or that I shouldn't be focused on this specific problem. But I guess at the end of the day, I kind of have seen the change that I'm making, and I know that what I'm doing is helping people. Even if I don't scale and become, the next Starbucks, I'm still helping someone's day, making someone's day better. Just like what I was doing with giving away cupcakes, I'm still doing that with other aspects and other problems I want to solve. And I feel like just making one person's day better is still making a huge change. So, yeah.
It is. Y- When you said that, you made me think about, I don't know if you've ever heard that saying or it's a poem or whatever, but it talks about the ripple effect, right? Like one ripple in the water, the impact it could have. And so you're exactly
Yes.
right. One cupcake, one smile, one person's life being better, you are making a significant difference.
Yes.
And so that is awesome. So let's, we talked a little bit about business, but of course, tell me, what do you like to do for fun? Like, what if Michael could plan a fun day? What is a fun day in the life of Michael?
Yes, so I love to ride my bike, but recently my bike, it broke, and I haven't ridden it in like a good like 3 4 months.
Oh
So I
wow.
actually bought a I have a longboard, so I do that like in my free time. Also, I love animals. I have 2 dogs and 2 cats.
Mm.
So I hang out with them most of the time, and I have a brother, so I just hang out with him. He'll pick on me. He also helps me out a lot. And that is my dog making noise in the background. So yeah, I guess just hanging out with my dogs, hanging out outside with my brother is probably something that I do for free time.
That's sweet. That's
I
sweet.
I love it. I love it. It's hard being a kid when you have so many responsibilities, but you
Yes.
got to know that you got to have fun and just to let loose and let go. So I love the fact that you find time to do that as well. So, Michael, tell us who inspires you the most and why?
So I guess some of my more like personal inspirations have probably been people in my family. Like I said,
Mhm.
almost all my family knows how to cook, but also almost like everyone in my family does something in the community. Like my grandmother, she was on the board of education. My mom, like I said, was a home economics teacher. My grandfather worked with the Boy Scouts, and I guess just people in my family are very involved in the community. So that kind of inspired me and kind of showed me and gave me some type of rubric as to what I should do in my community. And also probably one of my more known inspirations is Martin Luther King. Like I said, I have
Mm.
Freedom Fighter Cupcakes, and I have a bunch of different inspirations, but probably the person that I look up to the most out of that list of people is probably Martin Luther
That's nice. So, oh, I'm sorry, Nicole.
Oh, go ahead. I love it. Go ahead.
I there's the dog.
He wants to be interviewed.
That's right. Hey, and if they want to get an interview, bring the dog up. Look, we don't mind. This is what I think it's also important that not only we model it, Nicole and myself, but you as well, for the world to see that, we're just regular people with regular lives that are just taking that conscious decision to operate in our purpose.
King. Yes.
And so, um, just tell us a little bit more about your business. So, desserts, of course, is your niche that you
Yes.
chose. What made you decide? Because you originally said that you were interested in cooking and you were good at cooking in general. But what made you decide to hone in specifically on desserts?
I guess like I said, I know how to cook. I still do know how to cook, and I do enjoy cooking a lot. But probably the thing that allowed me to bake more often was probably just like I found my love for baking specifically. After I made that cake, I kind of just went more and deeper into baking. I guess like cooking was kind of just like an everyday thing. I know how to cook. I eat good food. I know like I kind of already know that. And I guess when I learned how to bake, that was kind of like my shiny new toy. So I kind of like honed more into that. And that also grew. Also, when I was in school or still now, I love science, and like I have always loved science, and baking is much more of a science than cooking is.
Mm.
You have to like do a bunch of like even if you add just one tiny different thing, then it can change your entire dessert and your entire plan. Like even certain desserts you have to actually know like there can be a certain like the actual humidity in the air can change how the dessert will come out. So I guess my love for science and that new aspect of cooking kind of taught me to like go more into baking.
Mm. Okay, I like that.
Wow, I love that. I love that. So I'm going to ask a personal question because I love sweets. And especially love cupcakes. So, do you have a special red velvet recipe in your menu?
So I do not actually haven't made red velvet cake before, but
Okay.
I'm sure I could do it. Like it's a lot of yeah, I could do it. I could do it.
I know you can.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put in a special request. I love it. So, with baking, and I talked about earlier about a lot of, I see now the baking shows and the kids shows and the cooking shows. So when you think about you and what you bring to the market and who you are, what are 2 to 3 unique qualities that set you apart from the rest?
So I guess one of the things that I think about a lot is probably just work ethic, just knowing what you have to do, when you have to do it, and kind of letting that like govern the type of decision that you make. Um, so definitely work ethic. Probably also I had to think definitely work ethic, and the second thing I don't really know. I know work ethic and yeah, definitely work ethic. That's definitely something that I do know. Um, and there was something else. It's like right on the tip of my tongue. Um,
Well, just as an observer, I would just say your passion to feed other people is
Yeah.
is,
yes,
is something that I don't hear a lot of business owners in the food space talk about how determined they are to make sure other people eat. So I would
yes,
definitely say that's something about you that's very unique.
yes. So definitely, I also I loved like I said, I knew how to cook, and I guess just knowing that like you said, like feeding people and
Mhm.
making sure I love to feed people. I love to cook for people. I love to give people food. And I feel like food is a very important thing because it like again helps you to live, helps you survive, but it also it brings people together. It's something that people can um they can like think about and it so yeah, I think that different things can come out of a person and out of like different cultures. I think
Mhm.
that like three things like music, games, and food are like three
Mm.
things that are differently in every single culture, and every single family, and every single religion, every single like person. Some those three things come out differently, and I feel like that is something that's very cool about food specifically, is because it can take you to many different places. It can show you many different people and show you how people have lived, where they come from, and just
Wow.
different things of that aspect. So that's definitely something, another thing that intrigues me a lot about food.
That's so true
Wow.
because
Yes.
culturally and you often when we think about some of the things that people pass down through families, like
Yes.
recipes are one of those things. And some people like covets, like, oh no, that's my grandmother's recipe. And I can't tell you, if I do, you must die. It's kind of
Yeah.
like the old with the Tom Cruise movies, like that it'll
Yes.
explode in 30 seconds kind of thing. And so you're exactly right. Like recipes, food, those things are very unique to
Yes.
families and cultures and stuff. So that's an excellent point. So let me ask you a question. In the last 7 months or so, this country has been impacted in many different ways by COVID-19, and businesses, specifically those surrounding by food, studies show are the hardest hit. Have
Yes.
you have you had an impact due to COVID-19, and how have you pivoted, if in any way?
Yes, so definitely in the like as soon as it like started, I think that was like May or April. I basically just stopped all my orders. I wasn't doing any orders, wasn't doing any selling anything, just because I wanted to make sure that I didn't like wasn't that sanitary to actually be working. And I work out of my kitchen. I don't have like a commercial kitchen. I work out of my home kitchen, so that was something that I just wanted to make a caution about. But
Mm,
then I started thinking again, and I thought of like a cookie cake mix. So that's what I'm selling at this moment is cookie cake mixes, and they're basically just mixes that people can make at home. You just add like
mm.
an egg and some milk, and then you have that. So yes, that's kind of like how I pivoted and how I kind of learned to work with COVID.
That's pretty in creative, because again, what we have seen is, the businesses, like I said, that have figured out how can I give my clients a piece of what I'm offering in a
Yes,
way that's reducing exposure, but
yes,
also giving them a sample of that, have been the ones that continue to thrive. So that's pretty ingenious. Good job.
thank you.
I love it. And that's the sign of a true entrepreneur, learning how to pivot and problem solve in any type of arena. When the challenges come, you figure a way out. And I love
Yes,
the fact that you do that. So in doing that, and a part of entrepreneurship is a big part is personal development. How do you develop
yes.
yourself? How do you keep yourself going and keep yourself motivated, even when you don't want to? So, what are some of the things that you do for personal development now?
I guess right now, like when I feel discouraged, I definitely just think about the people that I'm helping.
Mm.
And I also love to cook. Like I love baking, like I said, but just the thought that what I'm doing is helping someone kind of shoves me and like moves me to like get in the kitchen and start baking and start helping people. So yeah, just the thought and the knowledge that what I'm doing is helping someone. That's probably what motivates me.
I love
That's
it.
so. One of the things that I know, even as an adult, that has been encouraging for me and has helped me through the years is the support of my family. So tell us a
Yes.
little bit about your parents and how they have helped nurture you and help you grow this business. Because I know, I have no doubt they played a pivotal role, and we're going to actually be honored in a few minutes to actually bring your mom on. But just tell us a little bit about what that has meant to you in your business.
Yes, so my parents have definitely taught me a lot about business and about um, just like knowing what to do. So yeah, my parents definitely they help me out. My mom helps me out. She is there, has been there 100% of the way. My dad taught me like how to price my desserts and how to like do certain things. Actually, the first vending event that I did, my mom, like I said, she was a teacher at our local high school, our local middle school. And the year before at that same event, she was there. So then the next year I went, and that's how she learned. And she had a business called I think it was called Ladybug Market, and she was doing a vending opportunity at that event, and I was able to tag along with her and kind of see how she does it. And my dad, he helps me out. Like I said, he taught me how to price my stuff. He works in sales, so just
Hmm.
him like teaching me that is probably helped me out. That has helped me out a lot.
I love it. It's great that to have that support and for you to learn, because as an entrepreneur, a lot of times you don't know what you don't know. So you have
Yes.
your dad in sales and your mom has an experience. So I love, so you know what? Let's have an opportunity to speak to your mom. If she can come on, we would love to welcome Miss Denise Platt to the
Wait,
show.
hold on, what? This is this way.
Yep.
But then
This way.
there you go.
You're awesome.
There
Well,
you go.
welcome. How are you, Miss Danita?
I'm well. How are you guys doing?
We're doing
Excellent.
wonderful, having a great time talking to Michael.
Good. Wonderful.
Awesome. So, as a parent, it's when you're thinking about raising your child and having children just be exposed to so many different things. When did you realize that your son had a business idea or had a passion that you wanted to nurture?
Um, so Michael has always been, I say this, he's always been the kid. So his brother is 14 months older than him. They've always been, right there together. Yes. Michael is the one you send into the store with $20 and he comes back with 3 things and $16 of change. I don't know how he does that, but he's that one.
Okay.
Gabriel is my one that goes in and comes back and says, I need $10 more for the one thing that I want. So he's just always been very much interested in business, and also just sort of a just a quiet storm, sort of an old soul. He's the one who will see something, not say anything about it, and then out of nowhere bring it up with this sort of profound insight into a situation or into a circumstance, and you're like, where did you get that from? You were 6. So he and his brother, do you remember when you sold loom bracelets for the Super Bowl? So when all the kids were making loom bracelets and there were rubber bands around all laying on the floor in everybody's house, those colorful little rubber bands, he and his brother made them for the Super Bowl and sold them at church. So they made one for each team. And so people bought them, to show their support for the teams.
Wow.
So yeah, they've always been kind of doing stuff like that.
That I love that. So Michael, you've always been a little entrepreneur, right? How can I make some money?
Always.
So let me ask you this, because I'm a parent as well. And, I don't know if this makes me a bad parent after hearing you talk, but if my daughter at 11 had come to me and said, Mama, I want a business, I'm pretty confident I would have smiled and pat her on the head and said, now, little baby, go somewhere and sit down. So because I'm like, you're 11, last week you thought you wanted to be a ballerina, right? Yeah. Yet you still knew, and you and your husband said yes to business and even figured out how to make that work for him for school and everything else. So what would you say to other parents, though, as their children are coming to them with these ideas that may sound far-fetched, but are really something that are attainable?
So I would say, one, to listen to what's going on with your kid. When he came to me and told me he wanted to bake, I was like, okay, go ahead and leave the kitchen, because all I could see was flour and sugar and milk all over the floor. So I definitely had that reaction about the baking. But he baked with my mother and he loved it, and there was no telling him no after that. No, there was no telling him no. And I'm sorry about all that noise from our puppy. The Amazon person is dropping off a box and he can hear them. So he's joining in. His name is Cornbread.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
That's who you hear over there.
The dog's name is Cornbread?
It is.
I love it. I love it.
The other one's Biscuit.
Yeah.
Cornbread and biscuit.
Yes, those are our dogs. The business really came out of, so he was baking, and then Michael was diagnosed with epilepsy when he was in the summer before 5th grade. And so at the time he was doing professional gymnastics. He was on the gymnastics team for our county. And that team is the first team you join slated for the Olympics. And he just absolutely knew that that's where he was going. But he had to stop doing all that due to the epilepsy diagnosis. But he was baking. We needed to keep an eye on him because, he could have a seizure any moment, and we were still trying to get his medication straight and all that. And so baking became something he could do, and I could be there because, if something was going on, I could intervene and just keep him safe if he had a seizure. So when he said he wanted to start the business, this was shortly after he had gotten those Tom's shoes. And he said it all in one breath. It wasn't like, I want to start a business, and then 6 months later, hey, I think I want to do something for other people. He said, I want to start a business so that I can, feed people. I want to give away a cupcake like they did with the shoes. And he was, you know, paying attention to the inequity of the civil rights movement. You know, he was just always talking about those things. He watched Selma. So it was just a perfect storm. All those pieces kind of fell in together. And all of a sudden it was kind of like, okay, we have this little black boy who's going to bake cupcakes, feed people, and is concerned about civil rights, and he wants to start a business. Okay, let's just throw it all in the pot and see what happens.
I love it. I love that. Just the fact that you gave him the opportunity. And you know, like Angela said, you know, many people would be like, "Oh, just go ahead," you know, or think that's a great idea and brush it off. But I love the fact that you saw that chance and the opportunity to allow him to give that exposure for him to follow his dreams. And so that I commend you. That's amazing. So even as a mom, you know, Michael is 15, right? So I'm sure he goes through all the challenges that a normal 15-year-old boy
Yes.
would go through. So how do you keep that balance as Michael is still a child, but now he's building an empire business? How do you
Right.
keep that balance for him as a mom?
That's an excellent question. I would say that we are in a constant conversation. We're
Mm.
constantly talking about, where are you with this? Are you happy with where it's going? Do we need to pivot? When Michael got a lot of attention, so he was on Kids Baking Championship on Food Network, and we went to New Orleans. He did that whole show. We came back. And there was sort of this sort of thought of like, well, how's he going to feel now that he's back? He didn't win. Where's he going to be with that? But he was so focused on feeding kids and on working. He works with an organization called No Kid Hungry, working with them. And he was so focused on that it wasn't even a thought. So that wasn't a conversation we had to have. But then later he got some other national recognition, and the conversation started to lean towards homelessness. And Mike was baking cupcakes for the homeless. And while that is true in terms of he does give away cupcakes to people who are experiencing homelessness, that's not his focus. His focus is hunger. So it was having a conversation to say, things are kind of leaning in this direction. How do you feel about that? No, I really want to keep it about what I said. And it's just always having that conversation to kind of, put our hands on. We always say, don't be obsessed with who's obsessed with your work. Be obsessed with your work.
I love that. Can you say that again? Just
I want to write that down. I want to write it down.
Exactly. And in case the audience didn't hear that, can you please say that again?
Sure. To not be obsessed with who's obsessed with your work, but to be obsessed with your work.
I love that.
Yeah. So for us, it's, it's do your work. What is your work? And if you feel like you're not doing your work, guess what? It's okay to stop, put the brakes on. Nothing's going to happen. The business isn't going to fall apart. And to make your adjustments, to make your course corrections. Because when you wake up in the morning, you want to make sure you're doing your work and that you're happy with it,
That's so pivotal, and I took away two things from that as not only a parent, but as an entrepreneur. So often we drift, and sometimes it's very slow, right? Like it's so slow that we don't even realize we've started drifting from our core mission or what we said our purpose is. And the fact that you, as his mom, are, just asking those, as we call them, coaching questions, right? Those open-ended questions. Are you happy? And how do you feel about that? I love how you're coaching him and doing it in a way that doesn't feel like parenting, though. It's really giving him the authority to be the entrepreneur and make the decision, but you're just, ensuring that we're staying on that path. I love how you're doing that. Congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. So let's thinking about and Angela talked about this. If you're talking to some other parent, so there's a parent watching and saying, my child might have something here. What is some advice you would give them to help them nurture a young entrepreneur?
So I would say two things. One is that um, it is really important to recognize that there is no kid entrepreneur or youth entrepreneur who is doing all of this on their own. They aren't. They have to stay at the head of it. They have to stay at the front of it, and it has to be their vision, the completion of their vision, the act, the execution of their vision. But parents have to be right there alongside to say, yeah, we can do that. Nope, we can't do that. If I left Micheal, my husband and I left him to his druthers, his costs would be really high because he wants to do a lot of fancy things. And so he and I have a lot of conversations about that where he's like, why can't I put gold leaf on my cupcakes every month? And I'm like, this is not necessarily something we can do. And then he'll lose interest in that, and he'll be interested in something else, pastry wise and all that. And all that's wonderful. But just as a parent, you do have to. I've had parents say, gosh, I wish my child, he started a business and he just didn't do anything with it. And I wish that he would just wake up and be a go-getter like Micheal. And it isn't that Micheal isn't a go-getter. That isn't the case. This is moving. That isn't the case. It's that, you still have to be right there alongside. It just is what it is. And the second thing, I read this in a book by, the last name is Duckworth, and the name of the book is called Grit. And she talks about the science of being gritty. And the science shows us that kids, especially at this age, that middle school, high school age, they really need an other center focus. And when they have an other center focus, it pulls out a sense of grittiness in that child, a sense of stick-to-itiveness, and like, I'm going to keep at this because I'm doing this for that person and not necessarily for myself. So I would say to encourage that sense of other-centered focus in their business efforts, because I think even when you're tired, you'll say, no, I'm still going to do that baking because somebody's waiting on me. Some kid's going to get a cupcake because I did this. So,
well, this has been really, really great. Before we go, and again, we thank both of you for, saying yes to the invitation. Again, Micheal, one of the things we do here at the Black Entrepreneurs Institute is we're all about supporting minority-owned businesses, and definitely our young people, and just really encouraging them. So again, your link is flashing across the screen.
Yep.
But if there's just something you want to suggest to our audience or prompt them to do as they come visit your website, I definitely want to give you that opportunity to do so.
Remember next order days? I think next week, right?
So your order days for November will be the 2nd and 3rd Saturdays.
Okay. So yeah, I'm going to be, right now, the only thing that's on my website are the cookie cake mixes, but I'm going to be updating it and putting my cupcakes for November on them. And they're going to be, you said, the 2nd and 3rd Saturdays of November.
2nd and 3rd.
Well, that sounds great. And like I said, I suspect you should be seeing an order from me because I am excited about trying your cupcakes. Like I said, I'm not a big sweet eater, but I definitely believe in supporting our entrepreneurs, and you tempted me very easily with your description of that. So Micheal, I want to give you the last word. Whether that's, something you want to say, because I know you're also a speaker. So maybe that could be you letting people know, how do they reach you at the same place if they're interested in having you maybe come speak to some other youth entrepreneurs or young people, or having you at an event. But just, whatever your final words would be to our audience who's watching. And then how do people get in touch with you if they want to, again, have you as a guest?
So I'd say just do what you can. You don't have to do a bunch of huge things. You don't have to you don't have to do a bunch of humongous things. to change someone's day, or to change the world, but just do one small thing and grow that and grow that. But also do everything that you can. Even if you can only do something small, do that small thing. If you can do something huge, then do that. But do everything that you can to solve a problem that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
And yeah, also you can find me at Michael's Desserts on Instagram and Facebook.
You said Michael Desserts 01?
On Instagram, on Facebook. It's not no 01, just Michael's Desserts.
Oh, okay. Michael's Desserts on both IG and okay, gotcha.
Nice.
All right. So yeah, everybody follow Michael and let's support his business.
I love it. So again, thank you so much, Michael and Danita, for giving us the time. I mean, I took some notes, and I'm sure our audience has gained some insight. And you're just an inspiration. So thank you so much. Thank you, Danita, for nurturing this vision in him. And you're doing so much that is going to change the world. Just one at a time. That's what you said. Do what you can, and you're doing it. So we commend you, and we're here to support you. And just like Angela, I'm going to place my order as well, and I'm going to still look out for that red velvet cupcake. I know it's going to come at some point. I'm going to put in my order. So you guys, thank you so much for your time and sharing with us today.
Thank you for having us.
All right, and if you guys will just hang on, we're going to put you backstage, and Nicole and I will close out the show. Well, Nicole, I don't know about you, but I was highly impressed. I mean, I knew I was going to be impressed, but to that degree. And again, every time we have a young person on the show, I am sometimes left feeling like I should be doing more.
I know. I was thinking that. I was like, wow, I'm just so behind. And, it's just amazing just to see where they are, the maturity level, just the thought process at 11 and 15 and 14. I'm like, wow, what was I doing back then?
Girl, look, we're not even gonna go there. And like I said, I can't say enough to the moms that we have on the show. And of course, we know it's a family effort. But again, today, Danita is just an excellent example of mothering while also coaching. I just loved how when she gave that illustration about how she helps Michael think into, because sometimes as parents, especially as our young people are getting older, we're still trying to tell them what to do instead of help them arrive at what's the best choice for them. So highly impressive, both of them. I'm so glad they were here today.
Likewise, it's amazing as well. Awesome. So, as we close out, you want to give away the final thoughts for this session?
Okay, well, guys, again, thanks for watching the Black Entrepreneurs Institute show here on the Empowered Living Network. Definitely make sure not only that you catch our show, but that you just drop in, because there are a lot of amazing things happening here on this network. And regardless of what your taste preferences are, I have no doubt that you will find something that speaks directly to you and your interests. Now, the replay for today's show will be Sunday at 3:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And of course, now we know it's getting darker a little early. So as you come in for your Sunday, after remote services, some of us may still be on remote services, but make sure to tune in. And we're going to continue to ask you to tell somebody about us. Start a watch party. Share it to other communities that you're in, because we are truly here to support all businesses, but specifically minority-owned businesses. We believe that there's a story to be told there, and we want to tell it. And then last but not least, immediately following tonight's show, if you'll stay tuned at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, will be our candle lighting. And so again, thank you to Roddy and Paul. Damian and Cedric, you were missed, but we hope we represented you guys well. So Dr. Nick.
Awesome show. Again, amazing. And again, we want to also mention, for those that are wanting to be a part of the Black Entrepreneurs Boot Camp, look out for that. We are doing another boot camp in January, but we have special offers that will be coming in. So definitely tune in to our Facebook page at Black Entrepreneurs Institute on Facebook and look out for what's coming. So again, We are here for you and we're here to serve.
That's right. Take care, everybody, and see you next week.
Bye-bye.